Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their but they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plug Live. It is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, and I'm your host, Chris Patrick. Tonight, the Arizona Cardinals' new head coach, Mike LaFleur, had his introductory press conference today. Devin Booker has been named an NBA All-Star reserve for the 5th time in his career. ASU men's basketball has been struggling through the conference play so far, and the Arizona Diamondbacks make the move to sign 40-year-old veteran first baseman Carlos Santana. Honestly, guys, there's just so much to get into and just not enough time to do it, so I will get straight to the point. I want to thank you all for tuning in live or catching us back on the replay. We go live right here on our YouTube channel every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Arizona time. Watch out for those time zone changes if you're out of Arizona. Each stream is available for immediate playback right here on our YouTube channel and audio only next day on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and just about anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Please go ahead, give us a like and subscribe right here on YouTube. Hit that notification bell, whatever feels right to you, do it. But you can find out when we're going live and when we post videos. But anyway, guys, like I said, packed agenda, packed house. Joining me tonight are my co-hosts Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman, as well as special guests and Valley Sports Plug contributors Steven and Ben Miller. Shotgun style, what's going on, fellas?
Gentlemen, what a week it has been already. The new brass is in town for the Arizona Cardinals. Already liking what I'm seeing from Mike LaFleur, but the greatest show on grass is about to kick off. I will be at the Pro-Am tomorrow. I am so excited, but there is just way too much to cover in the Valley, so we got to do it tonight. VSP Tallman, how are you doing tonight, my brother?
Oh, fellas, doing good. We got a busy week. Kind of feeling a little bit under the weather, but I still made it. Couldn't use the sick day. But good to see you guys. Good to see the Millers.
Yeah, we had to deny Tallman's PTO request there, but I think he'll be better for it in the long run. Steve, man, what's going on?
You guys, we're 25 days away from March. We are almost to the best time of the year. We are in the thick of Big 12 play. We got the best conference in all of college basketball. And yeah, I'm ready for this is a good week of sports. NBA trade deadline is coming up. We had breaking news right as we were getting ready. We're all on Giannis watch. Obviously not really going to impact the Suns at all, but yeah, ready to talk some cards and who knows, maybe some D-backs.
Hell yeah. I mean, shoot, with all the news breaking today, you would have thought today was the NBA trade deadline. It was an absolute shit show for all intents and purposes, but Ben, last but most definitely not least, I know we had to drag you on. You really didn't want to be here, but brother, how you doing?
You know, the time changes affect some of us more than others, but once again, it is always a pleasure to be here and to be representing my Arizona State Sun Devils for our two major sports, football and baseball, and swimming and women's basketball. We can't forget that. We're specifically not mentioning the other one because of dark times. But there's bright times ahead in the Valley overall, and I'm just excited to talk about it.
Hey, you know what Tupac said? Through every dark night, there's a bright day after that.
Yeah, didn't he say that like 2 weeks ago? He's still alive.
Yeah, I called him. We were chatting, yeah. He's on an island, not that island, but another one. That's another conversation for another day. But yeah, fellas, like we said, so much to get into. So won't waste any more time with the banner. And let's kick it off with the Arizona Cardinals after an extensive process of interviewing, I think, 14 candidates, 6 of them in person. They finally agreed to hire Mike LaFleur to a 5-year deal. He is the brother of Packers head coach Matt LaFleur and comes from some pretty familiar coaching trees in Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. We have been talking about him the past couple of weeks, but the news finally made official today. And boy, he had his introductory press conference. I'll just start off by saying, guys, I was impressed, and we're going to be drawing a lot of comparisons between him and Jonathan Gannon, I imagine. And right away, I feel like the contrast was stark. But that might be just obviously hindsight 2020, knowing what we know about Gannon. My impression was that he was a little nervous out the gate, understandably, but he settled in nicely. He said he likes how they did their process to find their next coach, quote, did it the right way, and wanted to get it right. So he was happy with that. And I know Tallman's happy because it looks like they share the same barber. Tallman, what did you think of the press conference?
Damn it. I was going to say something about that. Surprise, surprise. We hired Mike LaFleur, and the Cardinals were the last team to fill their head coach position. But yeah, I guess I never knew what the guy looked like. I saw a picture and I was like, shit. You know, when you used to go and get your hair cut and you'd show them a picture of what you want. I think that's probably what I'm going to do next time. So I can do the Mike, because before I was rocking the Cliff Kingsbury, right? Yeah, the Cliff. But I think I got a new hairstyle coming in. But damn, he's young, man. He's young. You mentioned the 40-year-old D-backs first baseman that we're going to talk about later. Our new head coach for the Arizona Cardinals is younger than our new addition on the Arizona Diamondbacks. But I mean, what did we expect, right? I mean, it's the press conference. It was a small win, right? When you come in, you want to make that first impression. You want to win the press conference. I mean, he mentioned how you couldn't avoid kind of some of the dick sucking that he did to Bidwell there in that conference. I'm so sorry to say a really bad word 6 minutes in, but talking about how, you guys went to that game, that Rams Minnesota Vikings playoff game where he hosted them when they had all the fires, which was true. I mean, he opened the door. He said, this feels like home. He pictured it. He called it. He told his wife a year ago that he was going to be the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, which I don't know why I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy right now. But hey, it's a small win to start. I know during the pre-show prep here, Steven, you nailed it. You're like, we got this team's got bigger problems than just hiring a head coach, and that's so true. I mean, talk about the big question at quarterback. He's got his work cut out for him there. I mean, we got some big injuries to some key players, that might trickle into next season. There's a lot of holes on this roster, and then just talk about the competition in the division as well. But young guy coming in, I mean, the one big plus to this is that familiarity with that division, with those key players, and Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers, of course, coming from Sean McVay with the LA Rams. And then also something to note, I mean, his brother is a pretty decent head coach with a good track record with the Green Bay Packers too. So you got to think that support system is going to be a plus for him. And, hey, I mean, we just got to hope for the best. We got to hope for the best here. That's all we can do.
It was a great start, gentlemen. It was the breath of fresh air that we have all been waiting for the past month. There's still question marks. Obviously, a lot of people have talked about the past 3 years. How much did he really contribute to the offense of the Los Angeles Rams? And I think that's the wrong question to ask, because he has been mentored by possibly the best guy whose coaching tree has seen the most success over the past 2 decades in the NFL, and Sean McVay. My favorite thing about the comments that he made in this entire press conference, gentlemen, was how he was so appreciative of his mentors, of the people around him who have gotten him to this moment. And he recognized each of them for their time and efforts for everything that they've done for him. He talked about McVay, talked about guys like Dan Quinn too, which kind of caught me a little bit off guard, but it made sense that he would talk specifically about Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan. But yeah, his time in New York wasn't as flattering when he was the primary play caller. They were 26th and 25th in offense in those 2 seasons. But, I mean, the quarterback was helmed by Zach Wilson and Mike White. What are you really going to get from those 2 guys? He did help get Garrett Wilson to an offensive rookie of the year nod, though. He had a solid season that year. But just the correlation, Tallman already touched on, his time with the wildfires in 2024. Also his time during COVID when they were here for 6 weeks, when Santa Clara was shut down. This was the best candidate that was left. And he is very deserving of this nod at this point. So like I said, it was the breath of fresh air. It's a good start, but the real work truly begins now. The words are just words. Now it's time for the action. So we'll start looking at who he's going to bring on his staff, what they start doing in the NFL draft. So there's still a lot of work to do, but as Chris Patrick would famously say, I'm going to have some cautious optimism on this one. Absolutely.
I mean, how could you not, after everything we have been through the past 3, 4, 5, 6, I mean, as far back as we can pretty much remember at this point, like being an Arizona Cardinals fan is not easy, and you can't give up all hope. I know sometimes I especially get on here and I'm real negative, but I think the cautious optimism is a good approach. I mean, that stuff stood out to me as well with the press conference. It felt very typical of a first-time head coach, but just how appreciative he was of the opportunity and reflecting back on his road to get here. I thought that was really awesome. And I mean, Tallman, you're right. Really young guy at 38 years old compared to the majority of his peers in the league, but he has been in the NFL at a pretty high level for about 11 years. And most recently, a couple stops in the division at San Francisco and Los Angeles. Steven, how much do you think that experience will benefit him going into this role, as well as having people like his brother to lean on?
Well, I think anytime you can get a guy who called plays for the New York Jets, you got to go out there and take full advantage of that opportunity. They just don't come around very often on the job market. So I was really excited to see them pull the trigger there. No, I mean, this is the 6th coach from the McVay coaching tree, which is, wild to think because he's a young guy himself who's had a head coach opportunity. And I think you could say it's a pretty mixed bag across the board of whether they've had success or not. But, they're all offensive minded. I'm glad that they went in that direction instead of, doubling down on defense. I think it's really key that they're going to have to get some kind of veteran defensive presence there with the DC position. Like, I don't know who else is still out there, but immediately someone like a Vance Joseph comes to mind. Someone who has had that experience as a head coach, who can be kind of that voice in his ear as things are getting tough. Because when you inherit a 3-14 team, things are going to get tough pretty early, pretty fast. And so I think I'm really curious to see. It's come out that he's going to be calling the plays, which is awesome. I think you got to give him the keys to the car after you hire someone like this. But I'm really curious to see what they do on the defense. My question on the offense, though, that I really want to see, and where I'm excited because I think the Rams have done a good job of this over the years, is, he potentially has 3 number 1 options on offense now, between Marv, hopefully taking the step that we've been hoping he would take the last 2 years. It's kind of, do or die now. But then, Michael Wilson coming on the scene and being 1,000-yard receiver this year. Like, I don't think anyone really expected that. And so, you could argue that he's the real number 1 right now. I mean, he played, I want to say, all 16, 17, I think all 17 games. Marv was only out there for 12 of them. So you've got, you do have a 1-2 punch. I'm really excited to see what he does there. And then, you've got Trey McBride, arguably the number 1 tight end in the entire league. So, that's a lot of weapons for a team that really struggled to move the ball. So I want to see some creativity. I want to see some shots downfield. And I just want to see some life from that side of the ball, because it's been tough to watch in the Jonathan Gannon era.
Yeah, it most certainly was. And obviously, Gannon is a defensive guy now, the DC for LaFleur's brother, Matt, in Green Bay, which, quick little side note there. One of the radio guys brought up a really good point about that, where you'd have to imagine Mike is talking to his brother, Matt, who just hired Jonathan Gannon to be his DC. And if Gannon said, hey, if I was your brother, I wouldn't take this job, that you can't win there, that organization's toxic, that would have come out. But Mike took the job. Now, we don't know if those conversations took place, but I mean, come on, you're going to put feelers out. You're going to ask around to guys, especially as connected as he is in the league, those 11 years. But I agree. I'm kind of excited for the offense. There were a lot of weapons that you stated, and it was a head scratcher how they couldn't produce more out there. I mean, of course, Jacoby Brissett had a few good games stats wise, but those didn't translate to wins. One of the things that he said in the Q&A portion of his press conference was something he learned in Los Angeles is getting the play call in quickly and letting the guys get set and run a real professional, tight shop or however you want to say it. But I think that experience will hopefully, I'm hopeful, I'm cautiously optimistic, Michael Benjamin, that will translate. But Ben, want to kick it over to you. Obviously, you're out in the Big D, Dallas. Kyler Murray is very familiar with your city and the stadium out there. Mike LaFleur did get some questions about the QB situation, and Kyler Murray specifically said they had a nice phone conversation, but kind of evaded answering questions about Kyler's future, which it fully expected. But for your money, do you expect him to be wearing Cardinal red next year and taking snaps under center?
In a word, please no. I think that's the main question that's overhanging this entire hire, but also this entire organization is who is going to be QB1? Because as it stands right now, Kyler, by all intents and purposes, is on the outs. He is a quarterback that is pushing 30, who has been injury prone, who has not been performing at the level that we have expected him to. And you can go towards any of the past few seasons and see there's always questions about size, hand size, ability to throw the ball. As he put himself into these dumb situations, frankly, around his own athleticism trying to run the ball. So that is going to be the first question that this head coach is going to have to really establish is what are we going to do around the QB position overall? Because this offense, as we saw in the last year, cannot be run on Trey McBride and the power of friendship or Michael Wilson and just doing inhuman things. So I think that is going to be one of the biggest questions that this team and organization needs to answer. But a single head coach hire isn't the only thing that comes with this transition. He is going to hire at least 14 to 15 other staffers for all positions, offense and defense, and the staffers that support them into this too. So that's going to be really how do you build an organization and how do we put ourselves in a position to have even a modicum of success in the years moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's a great point with him having to fill out his staff. I think that's probably the next question, aside from the quarterback question that's on everyone's mind. Is it going to be a lot of first-time coaches that are getting elevated to these OC positions? Not to mention, the quarterbacks coach, line coach, all those other coaches that go into this. But last thing I kind of want to touch on with the Kyler Murray situation and kick this over to you, Steven, because I don't know if we're on the same page or if you just heard the same rumblings, but there's a growing sentiment and people believing that it's possible that we do see Kyler Murray back next year and that Mike LaFleur thinks that, hey, I can fix him. I can turn it around with Kyler. Where are you at in that camp?
Yeah, when we announced that it was going to be an offensive-minded coach, I kind of did a 180 on this, and I think Kyler, if he can get Kyler back into the fold, I mean, we all saw glimpses of greatness with Kyler. It was never consistent enough to turn into actual team success, but the athleticism, when he was fully healthy, the creativity and the dynamic plays, the pieces were all there. So I think this is absolutely his last chance. And you've got a good thing going with Brissett playing as well as he did. Granted, those were in games that Cardinals mostly lost, but if you could find a way, platoon quarterbacking has really become a thing in this league. And the value of having a solid backup, I mean, look how many teams the 49ers got by this year, basically because they were able to have a solid 1-2 when injuries just completely demolished that team. So I'm not as opposed to Kyler staying on. I mean, I know contractually, it probably makes a lot more sense to hold on to him one more year so that the cap hit isn't as aggressive, because we've also seen teams, I mean, my God, look at the Browns, their cap structure, and even teams like the Saints that just have been in cap hell for years because they totally mismanaged when they were cutting some of these veteran players. So yeah, I don't want cautious optimism to be the one big takeaway from today's pod, but I'd like to see what Kyler could do in a more creative, inventive offense that takes advantage of those weapons. And I just want to point out one thing, because I think this has become a lot more of a factor in the coaching search than it gets credit for in the press. But the Cardinals, in the NFLPA report card that goes out to all the players, we consistently suck, like really bad there. We were 32 out of 32 this year. And, if you don't remember, this is the full list of the survey that goes out to every player in the association, asking, what's important to you? How do they treat your family at the game? What's the food like inside the practice facility? What is the quality of the practice facility? The coaches, the staffers, the people behind the scenes. We have never had a solid showing ever since they started doing this survey. And I truly think that a lot of these other more blue chip candidates that were out there in the market, they looked at this and they said, I don't want anything to do with this organization until they get their shit together behind the scenes. So, yes, hiring a young guy who says all the right things in the press conference and comes from, a family of football minds, fantastic. Like that's a step in the right direction. But you got to fix all of this other stuff too if you want to be a destination for free agents, if you want to be able to truly be able to fill out that staff with some of the best in the league. And this is all easily solvable. This is what good organizations, like we got the Pats and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, two organizations that aren't strangers to playing for a championship. That doesn't happen by coincidence. So I don't know how you fix that. I can't drive over to Glendale and do it myself, but I'd really like to see us at least rise, from the bottom of the barrel in those rankings to truly become a destination where we can build a winning culture.
Well said, Steven, and such a great point. I mean, I think you can only hope that things are trending in the right direction. They're building that brand new practice facility up north, finally getting out of downtown Tempe. I mean, finally, I'm kind of sad about it, to be honest. But at the end of the day, I mean, with these report cards, you have to believe that that's bothering Michael Bidwill and that he wants to change that narrative. And it's pretty stark contrast with, not to keep mentioning the press conference, but it is what we're talking about. Mike LaFleur got up there and made Michael Bidwill sound like the best and most generous owner in all of football. And it's great that he's sending his jet to go pick up the players in Los Angeles, and then he's opening up his stadium during COVID for the 49ers, and then during the wildfires in LA. But those are small one-off instances, which commendable for sure, but you're absolutely right. These report cards, 32nd is absolutely unacceptable. And it's no wonder that owners are making a big push to shut that down. Although I hope that doesn't come to fruition. Tallman, Mike, want to kick this back to you real quick. Just a couple last questions on the LaFleur press conference. It's kind of a cliche, and I really hate to ask this of you guys, but I'm going to. Did Mike LaFleur win the press conference today?
Oh gosh, you're making me pull the Ron Wolfley. I got to answer that question. I don't know if I'm prepared for this. Mike LaFleur won the press conference today, but it's not that hard to win press conferences if you just seem semi-competent and you don't go up there and pull an Adam Gase. Do you guys remember that? Miami? Oh my goodness, man.
No, wait. But for other people, what happened?
Oh, he was just like going crazy and just, I mean, how long ago was that? 6 years ago? Something like that. But he just made some random remarks, had the crazy eyes, right? Steven, is that what I'm remembering too? I'm
trying to find it.
Yeah, if you got it, you can send the link and then I'll pull it up. But, being, I would say more so, I think you are always going to get a plus if you kind of show yourself as a humble person, especially presenting that gratitude in the grandiose way that he did, but then also, standing on his own two legs and understanding that he is definitely worthy of this kind of position and that kind of stuff. Yeah, there you go. I love this taco. That's kind of like flashing.
You're right. Clearly he had to be distracted by something.
So yeah. Oh, and of course, it was the New York Jets. It wasn't Miami, but yeah, I go back to all the other comments that you guys have been made. I don't think it does. It really doesn't matter for people who are truly invested in this team if you won any press conferences at this point. This team hasn't seen true success on a football field in a decade. It's all about action at this point. So while the comments are, positives, especially over the past month when it just seemed like we continuously were being dragged through the mud as a franchise by national media talking about what the hell is this front office doing in trying to find the next head coach, to now finding a good solid candidate that meets the metrics and is truly deserving of this opportunity. Granted, he doesn't have a true past of head coaching prowess, which is what we all wanted as a fan base, but going along with what Steven said, I mean, you're limited to what people and who wants to come here and try to turn this thing around. So that's why we are consistently having all these first-time head coaches who are deserving at one point, being the ones that are truly given these opportunities in Arizona. But until we change the narrative completely 180, this is where we're going to continuously find ourselves. So going back to answer your question, yes, Chris, he won the press conference. But now, like I said, I'll double down on my first comments about it too. Now it's all about action and the moving forward quickly. Because once again, the Arizona Cardinals have found themselves at the end of the coaching cycle, finding their man. And all of these other coordinators are getting snatched up really fast. So the pool is even shorter than it was just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, just to piggyback on Mike. I mean, he won the press conference, but what did we sit here and say 3 years ago about Jonathan Gannon? That he won the press conference. It doesn't mean anything. But the positive side of it is that he understands that there's a lot of work to do, right? And, it's like you guys, like Mike already said, that he's somebody that's deserving of it. He's somebody that is believing in himself that he can get it done. But man, it's a press conference is just a press conference. I mean, he's got to sit there and jump over several hurdles to be able to go through this. And the biggest question that he's going to have to live up to is, because can he call the plays successfully? Because, I mean, it's never going to leave him that everybody knew who was calling the plays in LA. It was Sean McVay. And you're going to go back to his track record with the Jets. But he's got one game, though, where he did call the plays because Sean McVay was sick. And the one game the team they played in that game was the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm pretty sure they scored. The Rams scored 45 points against the Cardinals in that game. So, but that's the big key there. I mean, is he going to be the next offensive assistant to come out from Sean McVay and be successful? Because the odds are already stacked against him. I mean, you even look at his brother, Matt LaFleur. I mean, he jumped into the Packers and he had Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love at quarterback. You look at Kevin O'Connell. He went to the Minnesota Vikings. He had Kirk Cousins and then a resurgence of Sam Darnold. And then the Liam Cohen dude. I mean, I know you guys are wishy-washy on Trevor Lawrence. I like the guy. But he's a hell of a quarterback, and he proved that this season. The one thing Mike LaFleur doesn't have is a solid quarterback option like that. So, but hey, it's a step in the right direction. And someone mentioned it earlier. I don't know who it was. It was a little refreshing. It was, aside from all the positive stuff said about Michael Bidwell, because I'm sure there was a lot of Arizona Cardinals fans out there just rolling their eyes at that.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, I know we didn't really get a lot of interesting quotes from Gannon. Like, we just kind of heard the same platitudes over and over, especially in the last year. I think like the two most interesting things we heard out of Gannon was all from like the Hard Knocks, like behind the scenes, the shots and the explosions. And then, did you get here on a bus? Did you walk here? Did you take a taxi? I mean, weird guy. But like I said, expect a lot of comparisons this year and going forward of the last year and Mike LaFleur now, as we kind of learn more about him and he makes his own way. But definitely going to be plenty to check in on as he starts to fill out that staff. We learn more about what the roster is going to look like. Plenty more to come. But in the meantime, we must keep pushing. There is plenty more to get to. And next, we'll talk about Devin Booker, who has been named an NBA All-Star reserve for the 5th time in his career. Steven, does it lessen it any that he's always been named as a reserve rather than a straight up at large, or however you would say it?
No, because the All-Star voting is pretty flawed by allowing the fan vote to take such a huge chunk of that. So this has always kind of been like, I think it's the silliest thing in the world that All-Star voting at all impacts player salary. I think it's really unfair to the players that if you make an All-Star team, that slots you into a higher potential average annual contract value. In the same way that all NBA voting is flawed by only allowing a certain small select group of sports writers to pick their favorites. So these things are a popularity contest. It is what it is. I think the Suns honestly perform better across the board when they have a chip on their shoulder. So I want to see Book take that and harness it. He knows he's loved by the players. He truly is a player's player. Kobe was the same way, and I know he models his game, after the Mamba. So I think the bigger takeaway here, and I'm going to dish out our first hot take of the pod here. I think Dylan Brooks should have been an all-star. I think that was a snub. And, come on. Now I know that his reputation precedes him around the league, and the man just loves to stir the pot. But come on, we've all seen the way that he has stepped up and truly recreated his career ever since he got out here. I mean, the man's playing phenomenally well. Best he's ever played, from what I can tell. And he's just been like a clutch veteran presence on a team that desperately needed it. I mean, this team was slated, their over-under to win for the year was in the 30 to 31 range. And we've hit that before the trade deadline. So I don't know. I think this is it. We're already playing with house money. But yeah, I would have liked to see Brooks get a little bit of love.
Oh, no, without a doubt. And I mean, all these lists, I guess not all of them, but a lot of them do have Dylan Brooks front and center. I even saw the official NBA 2K page posted a graphic of 5 players and who is the biggest snub, and Dylan Brooks was one of them, and his animated player didn't even look anything like him, so clearly they didn't spend much time on him. And I think that speaks to your point, Steven, is he does have a reputation. He's not fully respected in the same way that Booker is, clearly, by coaches and players to get that reserve bid. And I think that the coaches have a strong say in that portion of it. But admittedly, not Booker's best season statistically. On the last episode of Pass the Outlet, Mike and I kind of spoke on this a little bit, or maybe it was the Heat Check podcast. I don't know. Just going back and listen to everything we've ever done and you'll find it. But Ben, with that being said, kind of being a down statistical year, do you think that does in fact speak to how respected he is by other players and coaches in the league?
I mean, I think absolutely. But I think the bigger storyline here is that the Suns keep winning when they shouldn't at all. And you're seeing it in last minute game winning scores that happened a few days ago. But it's a team that is seemingly coalescing together to actually make a push and to show something, that this is not the average mediocre Suns team that has so much talent at the front end, but then just a rotating cast of characters right behind it. They seem to actually be building upon themselves, which is more reminiscent of the Valley Boys Suns from the pandemic bubble and the year after that, where we had probably our most successful season in the past 20 years.
Yeah, and I mean, in the words of Torey Lovello, a connected team is a dangerous team, and this Suns team is far more connected, dare I say, aligned compared to last season and how dysfunctional that was. Getting Kevin Durant out of town, I would have never thought it, but it was honestly the best thing for this team. And you're absolutely right about the depth. I mean, that is 100% what we were lacking last year, is any sort of help off the bench. And now it seems like you can plug and play pretty much any one of those random guys and they can still contribute at some capacity. Now, can they do it consistently? Will they be able to carry it through? We're barely staying afloat right now with Devin Booker and Jalen Green out. but have had some surprising wins there. And that's the biggest thing, I think, is that they're winning the games you wouldn't expect them to. And yeah, they might lose a couple of the games you would as well, but we'll live with that when we are far, far ahead of schedule. This was supposed to be a rebuild year, and now it's kind of looking like it's a retool year. And we're actually going to be a team that people don't want to play in the playoffs, for my money. But Tallman, I want to kick this over to you because I do mention there Devin Booker is currently injured. I believe it's his ankle. His yearly ankle injury has struck in early February. Do you think, we're still about 2 weeks away from the All-Star game. Do you think he'll be healthy and able to play in that game?
Yeah, come on. He's not missing it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would hope so. I mean, if it's obviously something that, he should be proud of that he made the team, because it's kind of like he's been teetering back and forth his whole career on trying to put up, is he a superstar? Is he going to get that national attention when he's in small market Phoenix, Arizona? And it being a popularity contest has never helped him out in his career, because who watches Suns games unless you're us and you live in Arizona, right? But if I was him, I'm sure hopefully that yearly injury is not too bad. But you got to think he's just chomping at the bit to be able to get out there and play and represent his team.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And I think it's an okay time for the injury to come as well, because, yeah, he's going to miss a handful of games, but we'll get a little bit of break there at the All-Star, come back healthy afterwards. Hopefully, fingers crossed, joined by Jalen Green, and they can make a strong push to have a high seed in the playoffs, a higher seed, at least high enough to avoid the play-in tournament. Mike, want to check in with you on this, because the All-Star format is ever-changing. Adam Silver is just an absolute idiot. But we got USA versus the world. It's 3 teams, 8 people. I don't even know. I don't even care. What are your thoughts on it, man?
They got to try anything and everything at this point to keep eyeballs. And it's not just the NBA. Obviously, we know that it's been happening in the NFL for many years. So, yeah, it's a lot of swings and misses, Chris, but you got to give him a little bit of credit that he's trying to do something different. I mean, we've even seen the USA versus the world format in the Rising Stars Challenge, who Book was once a part of, in 2016, which seems like eras ago at this point. But I do want to go back to when we were making the case for the nod for Devin Booker in regard to making an All-Star. We talked about how this is actually his lowest scoring output since like the past 7 seasons. Same for his assists. He's been consistently averaging over 7 assists over the past 3 seasons as well. So he's just a notch under that. But you really have to take into account the entirety of what this truly means for the successes of the Phoenix Suns, being based off of what Devin Booker has done for this team this year. Truly the first time that he has been the actual leader outside of Dylan Brooks, as Stephen would say, who I am completely aligned with you in that, Stephen. But it's awesome because now, how we kind of talked about it maybe being the cautiously optimistic pod, this is the breath of fresh air pod. This is what the Phoenix Suns have done for the Valley after the past 2 seasons, and where there was the highest of expectations for them to come out and blow us just all away. You are starting to see the nods and accolades really kind of come back to, what this team deserves, right? We just saw Jordan Knott get named as the Western Conference Coach of the Month. Dylan Brooks got his first Western Conference Player of the Week nod as well, with his 40 points record, which I was in attendance for. What a game, that Detroit Pistons game. But this is more than deserved. I'm also probably aligned with Tallman. I think Book will be out there. You won't see him play in any of the games up until that point, because I think he wants to make sure that the Phoenix Suns are consistently, in the media presence in a positive way. And for him to be there in that game will go so far for this team. Because I don't know if you guys also saw, there was a YouTube video that just came out from, I think, Whistle Sports, that partners with Diana Taurasi, where they go out and they do some kind of golf stuff with like a famous person or player. And it was Devin Booker. And he had glowing comments about Arizona, Phoenix, everybody embracing him as a fan base and him giving back. And that's the guy we want to continue to put out in front of the masses to represent us. So for him being there, it is such a huge win for not only the Phoenix Suns organization, who is catapulting past expectations, but us as fan base who have grown to love him and know him as our Mount Rushmore guy at this point. You really just cannot debate that anymore, you know?
Yeah, by far and away, he has solidified himself as like the GOAT of Phoenix, quite honestly. I mean, he's pretty much the top of all the lists and gonna have plenty of time left to do it. I'm pretty sure he's like, and he's got to be considered untradeable. I never hear him in rumors except for when fans are dreaming. And as Tallman would say, dreaming is free. We'll let him dream. But for what he means to the Valley and everything he does here on and off the court, they can't give up on Book. And he does need to be out there and represent for us. And I expect he will, especially Mike, with his Book 2s coming out in droves, new colorways all the time. I think Friday I'm gonna try and get my hands on those Spiridons. But yeah, excited for Book. Gonna be watching the All-Star game probably reluctantly, unlike the Pro Bowl, which I refuse to watch, which is happening right now. It's happening right now. But fellas, of course, you know we have the brothers Miller on, and we have to talk ASU basketball when these guys come on. And I didn't tell anyone about this, but I'm gonna spring it on them because they are the experts. I'm gonna hand the reins over to Stephen Miller to guest host this segment and talk about ASU basketball. So let me take a step back, get a drink. Stephen, man, ASU basketball, what's going on?
Wow, I am honored, and really I'm just here to get Ben riled up and potentially in trouble, based on the fact that he has a small child currently asleep in the room next to him. Look, so this is the last year of the Bobby Hurley experiment. I think we can say with full certainty that it has failed, and it has failed miserably. You know, the term sleeping giant, we are so sick and tired as ASU fans of hearing that thrown around, because over and over you see schools with the resources that Arizona State has able to at least consistently make the tournament, if not make it back over and over to the Sweet 16 and beyond. And Arizona State, at its peak in the Bobby Hurley experience, has been able to make the play-in game, the first four, which is like just barely outside of the tournament. Like it's not even before, like on the first day. So yeah, I think, you know, Bobby came in, we had all of the hope in the world. The guy comes from a blue chip background, playing at Duke with Christian Laettner, being a part of arguably one of the greatest plays in college basketball history, making the pass, you know, there with Grant Hill to Laettner to hit the shot over Kentucky. But yeah, it's not working. And when your coach goes up there in a press conference, I think this was after, keep me honest here, Ben, UCF, I want to say.
It was a WVU.
After West Virginia. Okay, it's hard to keep the losses straight when they keep just piling up like this. But yeah, when your coach goes up there and starts to antagonize the fans, like this was a game that ASU absolutely could have won. This West Virginia team is not anything special. And he goes up there and just goes on a rant about how Desert Financial has never, even before COVID, been a place that they felt comfortable playing home games. That is like 1A on the list of things not to do as a college coach. The last people you want to lose is that student section of people who are going to show up night in, night out, no matter how bad you are, just because they want to be a part of the environment. And I know Desert Financial gets a lot of knocks. It's not the classiest place in the conference or in the country. It doesn't have the history of some of these older stadiums, and it's certainly as old as some of those older stadiums. But you know, it's got character, and it's ours. So it's like, you know what, man? Like, where do you get off coming in there and trashing the people who show up to watch this mediocre team? That to me was the end. Like, you don't come back from that. You don't recover unless there is some kind of, like, you know, God-given run that they can make it going into Big 12 tournament play. This team is not sniffing the conference, sniffing the Big Dance. They're probably not even NIL eligible at this point, or NIT eligible at this point. Players, we've got a rotating door of players who come and go and just we can't really seem to find our guys. So yeah, blow it all up. I don't care where you start looking. I think there's going to be a lot of temptation to try and do the Kenny Dillingham route and find a charismatic young guy that replaces him, that really rebuilds a culture of guys who want to be here and want to play here and want to stay here, which is, I think, the biggest part. We've had, top tier blue chip recruits. Jaden Quaintance last year, I think was a 4-star guy, flipped from Kentucky to come play here, didn't have the season that he was expecting, and then ended up going to Kentucky like he planned all along. So, we're a laughing stock, and I just, I want to see change. But see, if we were to rank the Mellors in terms of frustration, I'm probably about like a 4 out of 10 when it comes to Arizona State. My brother, on the other hand, is at a 12. And I have to hear this every time they play. So I would now like to invite you all to join my world for a little bit and let Ben go off.
First and foremost, thank you, Stephen. Thank you for setting me up and potentially earning the ire of both my daughter, who is sleeping less than 3 feet away from me through this wall, and my wife. What are we doing? What is this? Why is this happening? Bobby Hurley should have been done 3 to 4 years ago when we lost to TCU on the buzzer beater in that was 2022. Yeah, that was 2022, and we lost to TCU. We have never won under Bobby Hurley a day one or first weekend game. We've made it past the first 4. We've made it out of Dayton. Woohoo, here we go. But we've never actually won an NCAA actual tournament game. It is a disgrace. It is horrible. I hate it. I hate having spent my hard-earned money to have traveled to go and watch these teams at their highest, like going to Kansas twice and watching us beat them 2 out of the 3 times that we've played them. The last time, not so great. But overall, you look at Bobby Hurley on the sidelines, it's just sad. He is obviously just out of his element. He has not been able to adjust to this new NIL era of college basketball, and his eye for talent for a point guard that can do insane stuff is very good. I will say that Mo Odom is the highlight of this current team, and he's went through the Maui Invitational. He was averaging 32 points a game, which is an insane stat. But we started conference play at 9-3, and now we are at 500 at 11-11, losing dumb games and just dumb decisions. And when he's doing his interviews, he's talking about just, I am failing. My team is failing. They're not listening to me. The fans suck. I don't want to be here. So basically, he got his son a scholarship to ASU to walk on to the basketball team, get a scholarship, and now be on the coaching staff. And now he's like, okay, well, all my kids graduated from ASU. I guess I'm done here. I can go retire. I can go get a cushy job as an assistant on my brother's staff at UConn. But here we are. No, we're stuck with it. And seeing the comparison between what is happening on the women's basketball side with Molly Miller coming in from GCU, having up until very, very recently, undefeated season and start is just, it's insane. You saw it happen with football, and now it's happening with women's basketball. We have a swimming national championship in the last 2 years, too. People forget. It's been time to move on from Bobby for the last few years. The throbbiness has subsided. I don't need to call a doctor anymore. We just need to fire him. But at this point, we've already given Kenny Dillingham and his staff a very well-deserved raise, especially for the assistant coaching pool. So, yeah, no, we're not going to fire Bobby in the middle of the season. We're just going to watch this dumpster fire continue as people don't want to even play for him anymore, and his team just does whatever they do on the court and be like, okay, well, I guess this is it. There's always next year, but there's not. We're not going to fall back to Mickey Mitchell, who was one of my favorite ASU players of all time and now is on the staff. No, we're not going to be saved by Mickey Mitchell. I'm sorry. But it's yeah, anyone would do better in this environment. We just need something. We need something new. And coaches have been complaining about Desert Financial Stadium, formerly Wells Fargo, also known as the Bank, which is the dumbest nickname I've ever heard of for a stadium, since the 70s. This stadium is old and decrepit. It should be torn down, and it's probably filled with asbestos at this point. We shouldn't even go in there. When U of A comes to town to play, they literally are filling the stadium 70% to ASU's 30. It is embarrassing, and we need to actually have something change. Scene. I could go on for the full hour.
So because I don't want to let go of guest host quite yet. I am going to ask one more question, Ben. I'm going to try and find the silver lining. And if anyone here watched either the pair of Arizona versus Arizona State games, please feel free to jump in here. There was just a hint of a chance in both games that Arizona State was playing up to its competition against the number one undefeated team in the country in U of A. So, Ben, I'm curious, what exactly happened? Is it just rivalry, just the hype of being in that game?
What went wrong?
No. What went right? Why was ASU in the driver's seat going through in both games, leading after the first half, going in and completely collapsing in the second? I think we've covered everything that's wrong charismatically with the coach in the second. But this team, if you are able to hang with a competitor like an undefeated U of A that's going to have 3 potential lottery picks, I mean, like just overloaded with talent, what happened there, and how do we recreate that?
Bobby Hurley has 2 types of ASU teams. Teams that let others go up by 15 or 20 points in the first half, and then they claw their way back in the second half after getting adjusted and figuring out, oh, they got tired after we let them score so much. That is not one of those teams. This is we're going to punch them in the mouth right now. We're going to be as aggressive and small as possible in the face of their overwhelming height and strength and basketball skill, so to that they don't even know what to do with us. And that is what we saw in both of this pair of U of A games. But the thing that you need to win these games is consistent shooting, which is not what this team or any of Bobby's teams have been at all. They are hitting some key threes here and there, but they are losing the paint. They are losing the 2-point. They just are making dumb turnovers overall. But the aggressive small guard performance is something that is hopeful, but it's just so incredibly inconsistent overall for this team that it's tough to see. We have a slate of like diamonds in the rough overall. Mo Odom is phenomenal. Pig Johnson, aside from having the greatest name in college basketball at this time, is also phenomenal too. Like the guys that we brought in, they can play up to their competition as seen by this pair of U of A games, but they're just not. And it's the leadership at the top and the adjustments that are just not being made, and the dumb mistakes that are happening. Going up by 6 fouls in the first half compared to U of A's, you're not drawing the fouls that you need to as small players compared to these large ones. That's what's going wrong. It's just a lack of the experience and the depth for the team that is failing in these moments.
Well, I certainly feel better. So thank you guys for turning the floor over to us.
I don't.
I'm gonna start working on my resume, because you know what? If I think I might have a second career as maybe not the head coach, but I think I could draw up a few plays as an assistant. So
Steve, there are some basketball coaches in this podcast right now that could put their hats in the ring too.
I was going to say, yeah, we've got a solid staff right here on the roundtable.
Yeah, we're already putting it together. I mean, it's just a few pieces away from being complete. I mean, I'm sure we could even find something for Tallman, like sports betting representative or something like that.
The water
NIL,
boy.
the NIL under the table
No,
meeting guy.
Yeah, he'd
Someone's
be
gonna
the
tell us how
NIL
to
funding guy.
shave.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I really have to say on it, and thank you, Steven, you did incredible. Go Devils. Man, we might even have to find you a spot here, and we get your own show on the Valley Sports Plug Network. But we'll talk. But yeah, with ASU, I think the change is needed. Bobby's got to go, and it kind of similar to the Cardinals. At this point, it's kind of rock bottom, and change just needs to happen. Before we move on to the next topic, one thing I wanted to do real quick, if I may, is invite everyone to visit beckav.com. Check out Beck Av Sauce and Spice Co. You can get some truly incredible hot sauce and spices. I love the everyday carry. I use it on my eggs, on my tacos. It is a great hot sauce, and that is made by none other than Stephen Miller, guest host on the Valley Sports Plug. So go check it out. They got some good stuff over there. You will not be disappointed. Stephen, is there anything you wanted to say about it?
I was going to say this is sponsored, so I will be cutting you a check after this. Thank you. But yeah. Small batch fermented right here in Tempe with the hatred of disappointment from Arizona State. It goes into every batch, and that's really what makes it spicy.
Hey, no joke. The link is in the description, so go and check it out, guys.
I really feel like I can taste the hate, and it just really elevates the profile even that much more. But honestly, guys, it's good stuff. I honestly would not tell you that just because I love Steven and the Millers and everything they do for us here at VSP. But wow, Steven, honestly, incredible job. Appreciate that. Let's get to this last topic, maybe one more if we can squeeze it in, and that is your Arizona Diamondbacks making another move. They sign the veteran first baseman Carlos Santana. He's been on about a quarter, if not a third of the teams in the league, but they get him on the low, $2 million for 1 year for the old man. And I think the expectation is that they wanted, or I guess maybe not expectation, but the thought is that the Diamondbacks wanted a right-handed first baseman to kind of play opposite of Pavin Smith there at first base. Although the concern right away out the gate is that he doesn't hit lefties very well, which is typically what you want out of a right-handed bat. But the other angle is that he is from the Dominican Republic and might be able to mentor Ketel Marte. Interesting, you got to mentor a 32-year-old, but after everything last season, it certainly can't hurt. Tallman, I know you've kind of been on the bench here for a little bit, so I'll toss it over to you first. What are your thoughts on this signing by the Diamondbacks?
Well, I mean, it's a little lackluster when you're especially you're coming out of just the whole Nolan Arenado thing, and you're talking about potentially washed up players that are old and past their prime, and they're making their required stint in Arizona. Doesn't matter what a sports league we're talking about. It just seems like to be the case for all the major sports here. I mean, it's exactly what they're looking for. I mean, this was the spot that we were looking to pin Paul Goldschmidt into, right? Where a lot of Arizona fans were dreaming a bit, saying maybe that reunion can occur because this is what we need. You need someone that can platoon with Pavin Smith at first base, and you need somebody that can DH as well, which is that's exactly what he's going to do. I mean, I'm not saying he can't play anymore. I think you guys mentioned last year he played 116 games. I mean, that's about what you expect out of somebody who's going to come in and be that leadership guy. I did laugh at all the stuff coming out about how he's going to be able to bring up and support Ketel Marte, which is just ridiculous when you talk about one of the softest superstars in baseball history. It's unbelievable. But nonetheless, I mean, we have some young key players on this team that are only going to benefit from someone like Carlos Santana, who is his whole career, he's been that locker room guy. He's been that leader. So it can't hurt. I mean, you look back at a Evan Longoria, even a Tommy Pham, some of these older established veteran dudes coming in and just kind of being the vibe for this team. So, but yeah, I mean, he didn't cost a lot, which is not surprising that the option that we would take to fill this hole in this lineup would be somebody that only cost $2 million. But again, I mean, 2019 he was an all-star. Same year he was a Silver Slugger, and then just recently he won that Gold Glove award in 2024. So maybe, just maybe, the retirement home is not coming that soon, and maybe we can get some production out of this guy this year.
You can only hope. I mean, if for my money, and I guess for Ken Kendrick's money, it's a low risk, high reward situation for $2 million. You know, if he ends up being dog shit and you got to cut him to make a spot on the 40 man, you can do so and not lose a whole lot of sleep over it. But personally, I am kind of one of those people that buys into the veteran leadership narrative, especially in a sport like baseball, and especially when you consider the diversity within baseball clubhouses, and a guy that can speak the same language as Cattell and really be on the same page as him. I mean, Tallman, I know you kind of poo-poo that notion, but I think there is something to it because he is soft. Yes, Ben, Spanish. Yes, he speaks Spanish. My goodness. And thank you for derailing me. But so I'll just throw it over to Mike here. Mike, what are your thoughts, and do you buy into the mentorship narrative?
Yeah, I think that is the most imperative thing about this signing, because for my money, I still feel like Torey Lovello loves the Pavin Smith experience, and they want to give him as much of the opportunities as possible. But you got to have somebody to back him up, right? Pavin still, I don't know, has proven if he's truly is an everyday kind of guy, not the same way that Eugenio Suarez or, you know, even to a certain extent right now, Geraldo Perdomo is. This is somebody who is the stopgap, who can help to kind of repair a relationship that I think was a little bit squandered from how things happened last year with Cattell Marte. And if you can have somebody who is a veteran presence, who is, you know, wow, he's going to be 40. That's crazy. But, you know, somebody who's been around the block, who's entering his 17th year, knows how to be a professional and has done it to great success. You know, you have to think about this guy was, I think, one of the catalysts for that Cleveland Indians team at the same time when they went up against the Chicago Cubs. Played in Cleveland for, wow, I think the first 12 years of his career. It never hurts to have more of those mentors in the clubhouse. And, you know, I'm still more so looking at what are we doing with the starting pitching position. Is Zach Gallen going to be given an opportunity on a one-year deal, as it looks like he's not commanding the money that he wanted on the open market? What are the Diamondbacks going to do still with the bullpen? Are they just going to kind of run it back with some of these unproven guys and really young arms? Or are we getting close towards the end, and this is what this team is truly looking like? Those are more of the questions that I'm focusing on as we get so close to spring training and pitchers and catching reporting, which I think is like in a week and a half at this point. So this is kind of one of those signings where it's like, it is what it is. You know, I'm not like, ooh, this definitely doesn't move the needle, but it's not a negative at the same point, unless I would see it maybe as a negative if you had all your eggs in the Paul Goldschmidt basket and you know that dream is dead at this point. But I never was one of those people. So I think the only thing I can truly say is welcome, Carlos, and we'll see how it goes this year. Like a lot of people are really thinking about for this Arizona Diamondbacks club this year. I think it's going to be a true unknown season.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and still more questions. I saw one article today. I couldn't find it just looking, but they were doing off-season grades so far, and the Diamondbacks got like a D plus, which I think surprised me a little bit. But like when you see Eugenio Suarez re-signed with the Reds on not that high of a deal. I know he was a fan favorite. A lot of people wanted him back, but you know, there's probably a reason we didn't get him back. But Ben, you got the D-backs hat on here. Was the Carlos Santana signing smooth, and will he be able to help the D-backs change their evil ways in this next season?
First and foremost, what a transition there, and not just me changing my hat. For also outing our backroom chat over here in the middle of that too. Just, man, I thought we were boys.
Yeah. Hey, I thought so too.
Listen, here's the thing. I do think this trade is smooth like the ocean under the moon. And honestly, I'm excited for a retooled D-backs team to actually like have some consistent success compared to this last year where we were just like flailing overall. I already have tickets to go and see them here in Texas when they come and visit the Rangers May 11th through 13th. And I can't wait to be repping all of my D-backs gear in the season ticket holder area. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's just the optimism is overflowing here in the Valley and Texas.
Well, we only care about one of those things, but Steve, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you the floor to share your thoughts on the D-backs, the current state of the D-backs, if you will.
So I feel like that was it D plus that we got that you mentioned, Mike, from the league. Like I feel like that's really harsh for a team that, sure, like underperformed, but we're not too far away from making a World Series run here, still with a lot of the key pieces still around. So I am a little surprised. They let some talent walk out the door, which is fine, but they also got some talent back. I mean, re-signing Merrill Kelly, that's a huge hometown get for a guy that, was traded at the deadline on a rental, but apparently liked it here enough to come back. Mike Soroka, okay, sure, that's depth at the starting position. Mike Soroka, I'm just ready for that all year long. And then the trade for as my Cardinals friend would call it, NATO. I guess that fits the bill of how we typically fill out the team with kind of cast off veterans, but guys who could have a final good act to the team. My biggest question is, if your first base is kind of a position of power, and if you're going to go on the more cheap side to fill that out with a veteran, kind of on his way out, where are you going to splurge? Like where is that cap money going? And I would really like to see it. I know Ken Kendrick isn't known for breaking the bank. We're not necessarily the Dodgers over here, but where I'd like to see the splash that comes with that. And I hope that means that we're going to get an up and coming pitcher, especially, if Marte still ends up being traded at the deadline, because that's the other piece that I can't really quite figure out over all this is, does this mean Marte is like going to be here indefinitely? Or does this mean that we just kind of we brought in a clubhouse guy to be buddies and he's still going to be trade bait again at the deadline, and we're going to have to go through all this again?
A great point, honestly. And I think we're going to know really, really quickly just at the start of the season, kind of which way it's leaning. If we see that those relationships have been healed, if Ketel is consistently out there, it might not be super easy to tell at face, but so far Mike Hazen and all those guys are getting out there saying all the right things. I know there were a lot of rumblings of maybe trading for Alex Bregman and different things trading him to clear way to sign Alex Bregman and certain things like that. But that is going to be an interesting, story to keep an eye on with Ketel Marte. I do think it was also kind of interesting, like you said, the Soroka signing 1 year, another high reward, low risk kind of situation, although 7.5 million, but he is a guy who's found success, been a little banged up, but I mean, we'll take it. At the end of the day, I'm excited for what the Diamondbacks are doing. I agree. I think the D plus is a little harsh, and the signing of Carlos Santana, unfortunately, very likely slams the door shut on a potential Paul Goldschmidt reunion, which I know a lot of Diamondbacks fans were hoping for. But at the end of the day, you want your team to get younger, not older in a lot of cases. So we got some more Valley things happening, if you will, as we transition to maybe one last topic here. And that is, of course, the People's Open, the Wasted Management Phoenix Open, coming to Scottsdale this weekend. I think starts on Thursday. Michael Benjamin, you said you'll be out there at the Pro-Am tomorrow to check it out. What are you most excited to see when you're out there at the Pro-Am?
The merch tent looks crazy. No, as somebody who's just getting more into golf, I need a little bit more swag. I ponied up, or no, I didn't pony up. I cashed in on our jersey bet where Chris had kind of inserted himself, and he said if the Cardinals and Bengals didn't have the same record, which he would have won a jersey for, he would buy a hat for the loser, because infamously, unfortunately, the Bengals have won more games than the Arizona Cardinals. But I got this cool Phoenix Suns hat at the Suns game. But I'm more excited to, I think, have a little bit lesser of a crowd. I know that it's still going to be crazy, right? But the past 2 days were open for anybody. It was free days, Monday and Tuesday. These are the ones that actually cost money. But I'm interested to see some of these Valley guys tee it up, man. We were talking pre-show. You know, there's a couple of Arizona Cardinals that are going to be in the Pro-Am. Buda Baker, Zaven Collins, Trey McBride. There's some heavy hitters in the MLB as well. Mookie Betts. Alex Bregman will be there as well. And then there's, some Valley legends like Larry Fitzgerald, who, if I see him up close and personal, will be congratulating him early for his Hall of Fame nod that he should be getting on Thursday. But I mean, if you think about it, yes, these guys are athletes, but at the end of the day, golf is such a hard game. A lot of us are on the same plane unless you practice all the time. So I'll be interested to see who's out there hitting, some crazy slices like I do on occasion. Has been getting better, but it's still in my game. So that's what I'm most excited for.
Well, I definitely look forward to seeing all the sights and sounds that I know you'll be capturing while you're out there. But Tallman, when it gets to be time for the tournament itself, try and keep me honest here on the pronunciation. Last year, we saw Belgian golfer Thomas Detry win the entire thing, and it was his first and only PGA Tour win. Aside from, two-part question, I guess. Do you think he'll repeat? Do you think he'll have a strong showing again? Was it more of a one-off? And if not him, do you have another favorite to take it all this year?
Yeah, I think Thomas Detry, I think he signed with Live Golf. So somebody fact check that, but I don't think
I think you're right.
Yeah,
so he's not allowed.
Yeah, he's not even. No,
well, it shows you how much I've been paying attention.
That's okay. That's okay. The one cool thing about the Phoenix Open or the Waste Management Open as of late, because there was one year where it was an elevated event. They took that away. Elevated, where I think the purse was, I don't know, I think it was 10, 15 million or something. Winner won like 3 million. But they've still been able to, fill out the field. I mean, obviously the favorite going in, if you looked on any betting app, I haven't even looked at it. I don't even need to look at it because you already know the favorite's going to be Scotty Scheffler. I think he's won out there twice already, if I'm not mistaken. I think his first career tournament win was actually at the Phoenix Open. I could be wrong on that too. Maybe someone else needs to fact check all this shit I'm saying. But no, I think Scotty's easily the favorite. I mean, I think one of the biggest stories going in is going to be the Brooks Koepka story. He defected from the PGA, went to Live Golf, now came crawling back in the player return program, whatever the hell they made up for him. But he's going to be out there. He made the cut last weekend at the Farmers at Torrey Pines. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of drunk frat people out there just cheering on Brooks Koepka and all that shit. So it's going to be interesting to watch. But some of the other names, you got Max Homa, Xander Schauffele, who else was I? Ricky Fowler. He always plays every single year. I think Matsuyama is a guy that's won it a couple times. So what's cool about these big guys coming out to play this tournament is you have snobby ass players like Rory McIlroy that say, I'm not playing out there. It's way too rowdy. It's not golf. It's ridiculous. It's the greatest show on grass. And I love that some of these big names in the golf world come out here every single year because it's just fun. It's a different environment that takes away from the normal tradition of golf, but not in a bad way. It makes it more exciting for fans. There's a reason why it's the most visited or the most attended, I should say, golf tournament every single year for the PGA Tour, because it's more than just a golf tournament. It's an absolute atmosphere and experience that I'd recommend for everybody. Maybe one time, maybe you got to go out there one time. One time's probably good enough. You got to take a couple of years off.
One time. And Steven, I want to get your thoughts on the tournament coming up this weekend, but I got to ask to lead you in here. Mike just had the 16th hole, the party hole up there. Do you think that we'll see a hole in one this weekend?
You know, I really hope so. I mean, it's better for golf when there is one, especially if it's a guy who's like just flirting with the cut, like just out there, just having fun with it. I have not been back to the People's Open in 12, 13 years. I'm old now, so it's a little bit harder. But I will say, you told us to bring our best waste management stories, and I got to say, I was standing in line. I was, I'd say this was probably 2013. It was right after Alvin Gentry had left the Suns, and I get nudged by a guy who's a little shaky, like he might have had a few too many margaritas over in the greenskeeper tent, and I was dressed in 3-piece suit because I did not realize how hot it was going to get this early in February. I totally misjudged it. And so I'm sweating, I'm angry, I'm annoyed that someone's, giving me the elbow. And as I turn over to say, like, hey, what the hell, man? I see an absolutely sloshed Alvin Gentry turn and just go, okay, brother, we're good. And that was it for me at that point. I did not need to have any more celebrity sightings or run-ins or accidental drunken nudges. I got to shake his hand and say, hey, thanks for everything you did for the Suns. And I don't even know if he spoke full coherent English after that because, he was a little toasty. But that is the kind of thing that happens at this event is you get to truly see the best and the brightest of Arizona sports out there having a good time.
It truly is funny to hear those stories because I feel like those are the most prevalent and the most common, obviously, because it is the wasted management open. Tallman and I actually got the fortune, I would say, to go in 2023. This is us, young men at that point. But we got to be on the 16th. That was an amazing experience. I will say, for as much flack as we are giving Rory, he was at this tournament that year. So he will show up occasionally, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to be there this year. But we had went with a large group. We had taken a van from somewhere in Chandler. And oh my goodness, there was one guy, I don't even remember his name, but he had got so drunk that they had to have not paramedics, but just like the grounds crew literally drive him on one of the vehicles that they put all of the scraps on to the car because he couldn't walk there anymore. Tallman, you remember that? He was sitting in the grass at one point. He couldn't move at all.
Yeah, dude. Was it me?
It was not you.
I'm just kidding.
It was not you. You had a fun time. So did I. I did. It wasn't us.
No, I remember. I know exactly who it was, but obviously I'm not going to say. But yeah, no, I do remember that. But that's what happens when you start out at a dive bar in downtown Chandler at 6 a.m. drinking steins of Coors Light at 6 a.m. That's there's a lot of bad stuff can go wrong when you start that way.
That's for damn sure. And hey, it was an experience. I am very thankful I was able to go, but will I be going on Saturday anytime soon? Probably not. That's a young man's game at this point. Wednesday, the perfect spot, so I can go shake Larry Fitzgerald's hand and say congratulations. That's where I want to be. So I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, man. And it's especially weird. I mean, not weird, obviously it makes sense with the calendar, but it's always on Super Bowl Sunday, the final day. And so it's like, imagine being there on Sunday and then trying to rush to wherever you want to be to watch the Super Bowl. You almost have to just give up on it. Although I think the timing can sometimes work. As far as just not to go too far back, but if we do see a hole in one, my favorite thing during this tournament when there is a hole in one on the 16th hole is just all the beer cans that rain on to the green. As much as they hate it, they can't stop it. It's a wild bunch, and hopefully not as wild as it was a few years back. But Ben, I didn't want to leave you in the corner too long without giving you a chance to share your thoughts on the Open here, and if you had any stories to share for us.
It is extremely disappointing on my part. I've never been to the Phoenix Open as one of those frat stars who rushes up and they take buses from ASU's campus and from Tucson to come up just for the Open. I'm very sad that when I'm in Arizona in 3 weeks, I am missing this experience. But yeah, I mean it is one of the busiest weekends in the Valley. Always happy that it's there to be seen. And really hoping that it's not one of those years that it rains and then that hill becomes just like drunk Everest where people are sliding down in whatever they decide their Sunday best is. But yeah, no, it's just fun. We need more fun in golf overall. Glad to see that Brooks Koepka is back, and glad to see that Patrick Reed is also back in the PGA compared to Liv. And I think that we're going to see a few more defections over the next few months overall. But let's just go.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time, and I agree. I think Live Golf, their days are numbered. We keep teasing Tallman launching a golf podcast, so hopefully we get that one of these days. But
he already confirmed, Chris.
Oh, he did. He's down. Okay, cool.
No, how about we start with baseball?
Just a specific baseball.
All right, it sounds like
whatever you want.
Okay, all right. No.
I love it. No, this is good. This is a positive.
Nope, take me out of it.
No, but fellas, the forecast does look clear for the end of the week and going into the weekend there. So it should be good conditions. Although I do hate that it's creeping up into the 80s already. So if you are heading out there, don't wear a 3-piece suit because you're not going to have fun. But fellas, this was a banger of an episode. Really had a lot of fun. I want to give you each the floor one last time to share any final thoughts, give any shameless plugs or anything you got. So we'll hand it over to our special guests and the brothers Miller first. Ben, right back to you, brother. What do you got?
As much as I hate to say it, Steven and his business partner Greg are truly phenomenal hot sauce makers. And it is not just the hot sauce, but it's also the salt that they make, the seasoning salt that they make with the mash left over from making the hot sauce. I literally put it on everything. I don't get this stuff for free. I literally go out and have to buy it myself because Steven is horrible to me and he hates me. But I really can't speak enough for how great Beck Ave is doing. And so if you're at the Phoenix Farmers Market,
Gilbert coming soon to the Gilbert Farmers Market.
Soon to be at the Gilbert Farmers Market. Definitely go and check them out there. Talk to Steve and Greg, and they will hook you up. But overall, fire Bobby. That's my main thought. Overall, please end this nightmare.
I'm right there with you, Ben. It sounds like his days are numbered as well. I think we just got to bear it, get through the season, and then greener pastures are on the horizon. Here's to hoping anyway. Steven, appreciate you guest hosting. You did a phenomenal job. I think we might have to revisit that in the near future. But what do you got, man?
Thank you. First off, the shameless plugs for Beck Ave. I did not expect this. I truly love you guys. Thank you so much for showing us a little bit of airtime. It has been an absolute blast to learn how to make and also how not to make hot sauce. We did just lose a batch last week of 15 gallons due to mold, because that is also a part of the fermentation process. So I have two things. One is I said this in my anytime you can talk about your product and also mention mold, I think you have to. So I'm going to learn how this whole advertising thing goes eventually. I have talked about this before, but if you have not been out to a Valley Suns game at the Mullet Arena at ASU, please do yourself a favor. It is affordable. It is fun. It's an all around good time. I will be out there on February 25th. They're playing the South Bay Lakers. Please, before the end of this season, they play with a lot of heart. It is basketball in its purest form. And just, do yourself a favor and get out to the Mullet. And then lastly, yeah, it sounds like a Miller time presented by the VSP. Ben, I think we might need to start doing a little bit of pre-show concepting because there might be something there.
Yeah, I think that if we get the third Miller in here too, that could be something. Just cut Chris out.
Let me get my hands on making that logo. I promise you guys will love it.
Just promise me one thing: you guys will not get us banned off of YouTube during your stream. And I'm not so much worried about the two of you. I think we know who we're worried about
It's
here.
the wild card, yeah. We're also going to have to work with the fact that he's going to be located in Hungary for the rest of the year, doing big things, working with Netflix on a project we can't talk about. But yeah, if we can make the timing work, I would love the opportunity to just rant. Like, we just need more ranting out there.
I 100% agree, and I look forward to it. I hope this happens, and we're going to talk offline. But thank you again, Brothers Miller. We appreciate you guys. VSP Tallman, I am so sorry we had to deny your PTO, but I think you were better for it, and we had a great stream tonight. What do you got for your last thoughts?
Yeah, man, we made it. No, this was a good time, fellas. Good time. Gonna have to try some of that sauce you guys are talking about here. But Mike, have fun tomorrow. A little jealous, but I did turn down free tickets too, so I can't really play the jealous card. But hope you have fun. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm not gonna be able to talk about the Super Bowl with you this week, but I think I'm gonna see you on Sunday, right? Super Bowl party. You can come too if you want, Steven.
What is the VSP Super Bowl plan?
Oh, it's very, very far out in the East Valley. It's a place that we call Santana Valley. But we're gonna do a little get together at my house.
Recently became the town of Santana Valley.
Ooh, can't sell it short. Can't sell it
Fully
short.
incorporated. Wow.
Oh yeah, we got a city council and everything.
All right. Well, we'll put Tallman's
You're in
address
Dallas,
in the
man.
link in
Come on.
description.
Are we looking at the next two city council members for the town of Santana Valley?
Oh God, does anybody really want that?
I think I got to give it a few years, and then maybe I'll make my mayoral candidacy open.
They would do a quick search of all of our videos on VSP, and they just put together just a montage of us all saying "suck dick," Michael Bidwell, and all this bad stuff. So I don't think campaigning against us would be very, very easy.
I don't think that is things that they can blame you for. I think that's more of like your slogan.
Yeah, that might
tables and run on that.
That might garner you votes, Tallman.
They want to be mad at us for telling the
Good
truth. Like,
point.
how many times did I get on here and call Cliff Kingsbury a scared pussy? I mean, plenty of times.
I think you'd have more clips than me, Chris. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I'm just saying. You got two Millers here, one in advertising and one formerly of political campaigns that can help you all out.
I'll let the audience guess which is which of those two based off what we've heard tonight. Michael Benjamin, I think we're getting off the rails here, so I'll send it to you to close us out.
Oh my gosh, but there's nothing I love more. It's always a good time when the Miller brothers show up. I really appreciate you guys every time you join us here on VSP. I can't wait to talk about the future and all that good stuff. And it's always good to have you guys on when it's not trivia, right? Because sometimes we get pigeonholed into just answering questions. I love hearing your guys' takes about ASU because you are just so knowledgeable about the unfortunate acts of what's been happening with everything in Bobby Hurley's world. But there's going to be positives for ASU coming soon, I promise you. We got a lot of things going on here at VSP. Tallman kind of alluded to it. We're going to do a special Super Bowl stream on Thursday, so you guys will get us 2 times this week. I'm super excited for the game on Sunday. I really think that's going to be just a classic one that we weren't really expecting, but it's going to go down in the books, just like the last time these two teams matched up. But Waste Management, here I come. Going to have a good time tomorrow. Pass the Outlet next week. We're going to talk about everything All-Star Game, trade deadline. And Steven, we're going to have you on next month for Pass the Outlet as well. We're going to do that bracket just like last year. So
yes,
very excited for what's coming up. I appreciate all you guys. I love all you guys, man. Thank you so much. And send us home, Chris.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mike. Well said. Yes, tune in on Thursday where we will go live. Make sure you subscribe. And like I said, hit that notification bell because then you'll be able to see exactly when we're going live. It'll even send you a notification 30 minutes in advance. You know what? While you're at it, you can share it with all your friends. Just go in your contact book and text the link to everybody you know so they watch us live on Thursday and every time we go live at 7 p.m. here on the Valley Sports Plug YouTube. But if you've made it this far, either watching live or on the playback, you're a real one. And we thank you. We're going to have to figure out maybe a name for the VSP audience. I don't know if we have that yet. So if you have any suggestions, let us know in the comments. Shoot us a DM. We are very open and responsive, especially while we are a smaller local podcast and growing. We'd love to hear from you guys. So once again, appreciate it. Shout out Nebsy. Yeah, well, I'll get us out of here. Thank you again so much. I'm Chris Patrick for Michael Benjamin, VSP Tallman, and the Brothers Miller. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Wraps things up here, and for one last time, this is Al McCoy saying thanks for being there, thanks for being with us tonight, and from the Footprint Center here in downtown Phoenix, we'll just say so long for now.